Hello, Mr. Jordan Peterson. My virtual name is Troy, and I have a question for you. In fact, I'd be okay if you and Ben Shapiro, I would say I'm a fan of. I feel like the only sort of intelligence I have as a person is kind of a hypocrisy meter. And there's a few pieces of hypocrisy I notice coming from you, Jordan Peterson, and that's why I have this question, because I just like to almost untangle this, because sometimes hypocrisy can come from me, the listener, being confused or not seeing the big picture. Things are expensive, and I know, here's where I feel a little hypocrisy. At one point, I think you're referring to a conversation you had with Russell Brand, and he was talking about, shouldn't we also, we have the greatest levels of wealth that humanity has ever seen, but shouldn't we also be like kind of raising up the lower and middle class to go with it? And you were saying, well, that just doesn't have a good story. And there's another guy I've been seeing more of, I think his name's Constantine, and he's talking about we shouldn't be listening to people. We need inspiring ideas.
And in doing so, reminds us that we are meant to reach for the stars.
Aiming for the best possible thing, like aiming for that heaven. And it kind of reminds me of, in your life authoring program, you talk about you need to really define what your heaven is. And I feel like the people in charge of the government now, they are like that heaven. They're the Elon Musk. We're gonna land on Mars, which is awesome. I believe in him. They're landing rockets now, which I would have thought was impossible as a kid, and it was fantastic seeing those first 2 rockets land. And I was watching Elon Musk. He was talking about, yeah, it was great. It was just like the simulations. Like, that is inspiring. That's the heaven. That's the great story. But you also said in the life authoring program, you need to define what the hell is, because you need 2 forces. You need to be striving toward that attractive vision, but you also need to be racing away from that scary hell. And I've heard you talk about the Pareto distribution and how, and you taught me this actually, how societies, they always trend toward increasing levels of inequality, where the rich get richer, the poor get poorer, and that leads to a strain and destabilization of society and collapse. As Donald Trump had said in one of these press conferences, that the U.S. already has a pretty low tax on corporations.
Brian, we're at 21%. It was at 40%, and I got it down to 21%, the corporate tax. The 21 is on the low side worldwide. The 15 is about as low as it gets.
So I know you say they have a better story, but there's 2 sides of the story, right? There's also the hell realm, and I feel like if middle class people get squeezed and pushed down into the lower brackets of society more and more and more, aren't we at risk of destabilizing society? But I'm just feeling like the people on top, they are pretending that they have a great story, and their story is not that great. Some of the biggest innovations in the last 50 years have not come from the richest people. Steve Jobs, the inventor of the iPhone. I'm using it right now to do facial tracking, right? We all use these touchscreens. Steve Jobs invented that. Where did he come from? Middle-class family. He was poor for a long time, so it was that hunger that sparked that innovation. What is the biggest invention of the last 100 years? Okay, I'm going to give you a clue. It has something to do with communication technology. Okay, bigger clue. Okay, I'm just going to tell you. It's the internet. Did any company make the internet? No, it was like universities and public money in the defense budget were creating the ARPANET or something, and I read a book about Pixar, and the guy who basically was the first to model a 3D hand, Ed Catmull, he was working at the university where they were experimenting with file transfer and internet, okay? It was no company. So I feel like the richest companies, the only way they are creative and innovative is learning to extract more profit from people. So I think you can see my frustration, and I'm trying to like almost channel what your arguments will be so I can respond to them right now. But last thing I want to say is, like, I am totally with you on, like, against socialism. I agree with the idea that socialism was grounded on basically lies, and you can't have a society where everybody has to lie to get by. But I'm wondering if our society is moving in that direction. It's like capitalism in this term, we have to lie like, oh, the upper people are the most innovative, when, as I just showed, some of the most innovative people or ideas of the last 100 years did not come from the elites, and as we see from video game companies, the richest companies make the most boring games. It's kind of the mid-tier, the Goldilocks, the yin-yang, follow the middle way. Those are the companies where they have some money to experiment, but they don't have so much money where they don't have to spend 10 years developing a piece of crap that is just chasing trends. So are we also buying into a lie? And like I said, I have high respect for both of you, Ben Shapiro, but I also have respect for people like Scott Galloway, and I just wish you guys could get into the room and agree on something, because right now social media has people like, this is my idea, let's argue, and then okay, we go away and we're still in the same camps. So I am here and saying, like, I really want to work with you, okay? I really want to understand, and if you can give me some good reasons why, you know what, Troy, you're kind of a screw up and you should just be trying harder. I see comments like that, and I am trying harder. Like, I love getting better. I love getting stronger. I'm okay with working hard. So again, I just want to come to the table, work with each other, and I'm really actually open to hearing from anybody on that side of, well, even saying on that side, there is no sides, okay? Recognize the other person as you. Jordan Peterson, thank God you exist, because you are a much smarter version of me. You're older and wiser, and I appreciate all the good you're doing for young men and all the books you're writing. Ben Shapiro, I appreciate your level-headedness and your willingness to be honest. So I'm on your side, but I'm also feeling like you guys aren't on my side, And again, there's no sides. That's a habit of 20th and early 21st century thinking. I think we got to remember, if the other person is you, like, recognize the other person as you. So Jordan Peterson, you're my brother, okay? But I'm also your brother. So if we can slow down the Pareto distribution, right, then we all get to live in merriment, frolicking, right? I don't know. I think there's lies everywhere, but there's also people like me, and there's people like you. And I think we do, like, the story of this world is, let's come together and let's truly build a nice world where middle-class people have some fluidity to strive to get into the upper class. And right now, I think I think innovation will die unless you are bringing up those poorer classes, because within those poorer classes are the seeds of genius that the richest classes, they don't see what's needed, They're kind of got their blinders on. It's like you can't see outside the walls you build for yourself, right? Well, we are outside the walls, and I think there's a lot of genius out there, but they need a certain level of security. Thanks for letting me talk your ear off. I do know you're busy, and if by some miracle you see this, that's a blessing, and thank you so much for your time.